I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to do a job like that when I was away, because I would never have thought to do it here. But now I'm like, I'm actually really practical, and this is a job that I can do, and I don't need to be limited to an office job just because I'm in a city.
Hi, you're listening to Sam and Em Solve the World's Problems.
Big problems, casual conversations.
Wouldn't you know it? The amount of problems we still have.
It's growing. It's growing.
Escalating.
Yeah.
We're going to tackle some of them this week, though, with a very special guest. We're going to talk all about why we all wanted to take a gap year and what we got out of it.
Yeah, and what you need to know before you go, the sort of logistics of taking a gap year.
Yeah, and we couldn't have brought on a better guest for this. She is not even from this country. She's from England, and who I met on my gap year. She's a very special friend of mine. Please welcome Phoebe Price.
Woo!
Hey, Phoebe, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast. Great to have you here.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan.
We're really excited to have you on.
Yeah, and if anything, just at least for the accent, to sophisticate our podcast a little bit.
Yeah, where are you from? Where is that accent from?
I'm from England.
Nice.
Anywhere specific for people who might know England a bit better?
Or just feel like stalking you?
Ooh, yeah. I'm from the middle, which is probably the most relevant to you guys, but originally from sort of near Birmingham, that area, but I'm living in London now.
Nice.
Beautiful.
How do we even know Phoebe? Like, she lives in London. Okay, Sam met her first. How did you both meet?
Sam, are you?
Yeah,
who's gonna go?
I mean, I went on a gap year of sorts when I dropped out of uni, in 2016.
Yeah, you missed my 18th, so yeah.
Oh, so let's just keep bringing that up.
That's how I remember. So
no, yeah, it was. I think it was.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, so that would have been 4 years ago that I would have left, and I think I did the 2016/17 ski season in Whistler in Canada, and we both lived there, and we worked in the same restaurant in Whistler, and had a blast.
It's great because that's where we met, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Did we meet there? Yeah, we must have. But yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Who are you?
Yeah. You met in Whistler.
We met in Whistler.
Yeah. Who are you? What do you do? Where are you now?
So I am Phoebe. I moved to Whistler. I can't even tell you the years, honestly. I think I actually moved the year before you, Sam, and went out and did a season. So I basically finished sixth form, which is like ages 16 to 18, and then you go off to uni. And I was just always really anti-uni because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And the year that I went, was due to go anyway. They'd like raised the fees by quite a lot, so I just couldn't justify it. I wasn't interested in it, and so I did an art foundation, which is just like a year's art course. It's very dossy and really fun.
You say
and
it's
then just
dossy?
did my level, like a DOS.
DOS.
Is that not a thing?
No, please translate.
But it's a DOS. Like it's just like really easy.
I'm like, that face that you pulled sums it up well for us, but not on a podcast as a medium.
Oh, like, you know.
Always forget that. Yeah, just basically like really easy,
like a breeze.
Really chilled, laid back. Yeah, a breeze. That's perfect.
A DOS.
So a DOS.
Love
there you go. A new like slang word for you.
Culture.
I'm going to use it incorrectly in Australia. It's going to blow up over here, and then you'll... It's going to be all wrong. Sorry.
But yeah, so I did that. No, it's fine. Don't worry. I did that, and then I'd always skied since I was quite young, and I really wanted to get my instructor's qualification. So I did my qualification, and then ended up in Whistler, and that's where me and Sam met, as you know.
You ended up teaching some of my friends too.
Oh, yes. Courtney. Oh, my God, of course. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
Courtney,
really
and
funny.
I think Tim had a lesson as well, which is great because we just went we went skiing in Australia. So that was very useful. I'm glad you taught him well.
Oh, good. And then you guys were also like, oh, I'll just see you guys in a few hours.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
No, that was really fun. He was great. And Courtney, actually. top students. But yeah, so that's it. And then now I'm in London. I'm gardening and love it. And yeah, it was a big adjustment from being in Whistler though. Like I definitely didn't love London for the first 2 years.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting.
Reverse culture shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so different and so hostile compared to Whistler. Like in Whistler, it's like you pass by everyone on the street and you say hi or smile, and
it's such a bubble town.
Different.
Like everyone there is there it's almost like everyone's there to escape, I feel like. And so there's a lot of party vibes, very friendly people.
Yeah.
It's a nice escape. It works.
Very friendly.
Recommend it for escaping.
Yep.
Definitely. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's me.
So Whistler was your gap year kind of years, I'm assuming?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was there for like just under 2.5 years, but went out for a season. So yeah, that's kind of where I went for that. And then I did like a bit of traveling afterwards, but kind of in between work and being at home and stuff. But yeah, so Whistler was like the main one.
I feel like you've touched on it, but why did you end up deciding to go for a gap year? I feel like there are a lot of different reasons, but...
Yeah, I think like I'd always wanted to travel, and I think now for sort of our generation, it's very accessible. So it's really easy to do. I think now people are being encouraged more so to kind of think properly about what they want to do and not just follow the steps of going to uni. So I just thought, I don't want to go to uni. I don't know what else I want to do. I don't want to be in England. I've been in my hometown my whole life. So I just wanted to move and leave. So yeah, like I think I initially wanted to go to Italy, but I couldn't get a job to all of the resorts that I'd kind of applied to. Mm-hmm. And then I met Chris, my boyfriend, and he was already like arranging to go to Whistler. He'd been there before, I'd never been. And then I just sort of thought, fuck it, why not just go there? And yeah, best decision ever, because it's great.
I love that. I feel like, I'm sorry, Em, I skipped straight ahead into the first problem by accident.
Jump straight into our first problem, which is why did we take gap years?
Yeah. So maybe I can put it straight back onto you.
Oh, I was going to put it on to you, but okay. My gap year was like a bit more traditional because I went straight from school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I had gone to a bunch of like uni open days and seen a course that I kind of liked, and my mum kind of convinced me. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have anything. So mum was like, I'm fine with you taking a gap year, but you have no life direction. So just go to uni and try it. And then, you know, if you drop out after a semester, that's fine, but you have nothing else to do and you're not going to do anything with your life if you don't start something. So I started a degree of Bachelor of International Studies, which was super, super interesting, but I had to commute 2.5 hours to and then 2.5 hours from uni every single day because it was so far away from my house and I lived nowhere near public transport. And I had no idea how to do a timetable properly. So I was at uni every single day, and some days I was there for literally 2 hours. So I commuted longer than my actual classes were. And then there was days where I had like 6-hour breaks in between classes and would just sit at uni and like get depressed about my life. So I did that for a whole year and basically had decided after the census date of my second semester. So the census date is where you have to pay for it after that point. So after that date, I was like, no, I don't want to be here anymore. But then I was like, I'm already going to pay for it, so I may as well just stick it out for the year and learn something. I
hate that.
But by that point, I decided that I really wanted to pursue like music theatre. So I had decided I was going to take the whole next year off and work and do a bit of travelling, but like do heaps of classes and get a senior teacher and like prepare myself for the auditions that would be at the end of that next year to get into like the best elite music theatre schools in the country. So that's what I did. I worked heaps, I saved up, and I went and travelled for 3 months to America in the middle of the year. And then I got to go to Tahiti in that year as well. But I was like training for these auditions. And then I did the auditions and didn't get in and basically just decided that I actually didn't want to do that. And my mum, again, was like, okay, well, like come to these open days and let's just like look at different courses and stuff. And I went to one open day. It wasn't even an open day. It was like an info day for this uni. And I basically went, and half an hour later I had passed my interview and I was enrolling in the university. And that's how I'm in the course that I'm in now, which I actually love. It's a Bachelor of Arts and Media and Communications, and I major in theatre and film and screen production. So it's still in the world that I like, but I get to learn about like doing all the behind the scenes stuff, and like I'm doing a whole sort of subject on like producing theatre at the moment, which is really interesting and I really like. So yeah, my gap year, I was trying to be music theatre and then I changed my mind, and that's my gap year.
So when did you go in between all that?
I went to America for 3.5 months. I did like, through our church, they have like lots of different like summer camps and reunions and stuff, like which are like family camps and youth camps and all that kind of stuff. I basically camp hopped for 9 weeks.
9 camps?
6 camps. I went to Hawaii for 2 weeks and went to a reunion there. And then I flew to California and did 3 back-to-back camps there, which was very interesting. I was so overtired that one night I couldn't stop crying for about 5 hours because I was so tired.
Oh, no.
And then I went to Denver and did another camp there. And then I flew to LA. My boyfriend met me in LA and we had like a week there together. And then we both went to Iowa and did another camp there. And then he went home and I flew to New York and spent 2 weeks in New York with my mum. She met me over there and then we both went home. And then I got to go to Tahiti in November of that year as well.
Filled out an entire gap year in 3 months.
Yeah, there was a lot
like
packed
into
into
that.
that.
You packed into it. And as well, like those camps that you go on for like a week.
They're very intense.
They're so intense and you get to know people so well. I feel like you would have formed so many like intense, quick bonds with people.
Especially the camps that I was in California, because I was there for 3 weeks and most of the people like there were a lot of people who were the same throughout all of those camps. So I spent the whole 3 weeks with them in really close proximity and stuff. And so like I've met a lot of really great people through there that I'm still really close with because I was like in such a bubble with them. Whereas like Denver, I hated that camp for starters. It just wasn't my vibe and it wasn't for me.
Shout outs to Denver. We do like...
And well, it was more like I had a week left until I was seeing Will again, and I got really altitude sickness. I got really like sick.
From flying all the time?
No, because Denver was in the mountains.
Oh, because you're like...
The camp was in the mountains. Yeah, I got altitude sickness. Yeah, because I'm a weak Australian and we don't know mountains.
Yeah, we literally don't have them.
And then a snake got in my room one day. It was like not a fun camp for me. So I'm not really in contact with anyone from that. Yeah, it was a lot. I'll get into, in our second problem, I'll touch on...
But that was your gap year though experience. Yeah, that's how you ended up there.
And I mean, before that, I basically worked 2 jobs for the entire rest of the year to earn enough money to go.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it was a lot, but it was fun. Okay, what was your gap year?
You're a real busybody.
That was really long. What was yours, Sam?
Okay, for me, I don't know that I had the same motivations, but I like out of high school felt the pressure to go to uni, and I ended up picking a degree that I thought I would really like. It was all about media. But I think of the cohort of people that went to this degree, everyone wanted to do like PR. And I was like, this is not what I thought that I was studying. Like all public relations. I was like, that's like devil soul sucking shit, like selling your soul for corporations type thing, which that is not what it is. I know a lot of people who really like public relations. It's more about the communication side. Like,
I love PR.
Yeah. But for me,
by the way,
yeah, shout out to PR. No, but it felt it felt soulless to me personally, and I felt like maybe it's more about where I was in that point in my life. But I was like, I did a year of it, and I was like, nah, no thanks. And I dropped out, and then I think I actually worked.
You worked for my mum for a while.
For probably the year that I was saving up to go and gallivant about the world a bit. But yeah, I think I set aside a year. I saved up a bunch of money, which I think in Australia we're lucky enough to do, but I'll get to that.
We'll get to that
later. And ended up booking a trip with my brother to, I think first we actually went to the United States. We wanted to travel the United States first because we have family over there, and we definitely leaned on that and used that. That was very great. I spent my 21st birthday in New York City, which was really nice.
Wow.
And we had the first, so I started in Canada in summer in Ontario before I moved to Whistler. So I was over in Canada, I think the beginning of 2016. And I think I did a summer camp or 2 there as well. but I was mostly working in a resort, like as a pool boy. There was some fame.
You're a pool boy.
Hell yeah! I was handing out towels, man, and it did not pay well. Like I was not. I was in like dodgy staff housing. It was an hour away from anyway, learned a bunch there. Ended up moving over to Whistler where I met you, Phoebe, and traveled a bit afterwards as well before coming home. And then, yeah, that was kind of my gap year. But the motivations behind it was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. I want to travel and try and figure it out. Whether that worked is interesting. We get into that later, but yeah.
Nice. I actually don't remember why I decided to travel. Like I know why I took a year off, but I don't actually remember. It seems really crazy to me that I would I don't know, maybe it's my COVID mindset, but it seems weird to me that I would just decide to go travel by myself in a weird country for 3 months. I feel like where did that come from in my brain?
I don't know. I feel like it's like that. Like if you feel kind of trapped or something, you just want to get out. Like is it kind of escapism?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. I don't know what it was. I genuinely don't remember.
Why did you end up going?
And I guess for you it's... Sorry, you go.
No, I was going to just ask you kind of like, is that what it was for you?
Why did I end up going?
Yeah.
I think like I'd grown up in my hometown, which is like quite, I'd say like a fairly small town. And I'm not far from cities and I had friends in London and stuff, but I think I was just like, I just don't want to be here. Mm-hmm. And sort of to fix that, it's like, well, let's go just somewhere really different, really fun, just with like a completely different culture and completely different environment. And yeah, like I just always wanted to travel and I'd always been skiing, and that's what kind of took me to a ski resort, because I just loved it and it made me so happy. So I just thought, right, I'm going to do this.
I feel like,
I guess.
Yeah. What's interesting is like, I feel like, I don't know if all three of us, if I can like meld it together a bit, but like, I don't know if it's about the place because like we all ended back where we started kind of thing. So I don't know if it was like, we felt like, I don't know, we don't want to be here. It was more like, I didn't want to be not at uni and not at work and not like, I didn't want to be in that stage of my life. And so I kind of just fucked off.
I actually remember where my idea to travel came from. I wanted to do World Service Corps, which is kind of like a volunteering thing with our church that you like can get sent over to places for a few months or a year, or like I don't know, I know lots of people who've been sent to Australia to work through World Service Corps, and you just like, it's through the church, so it's all like organized for you and it's supposed to be really safe and stuff. But I remember everyone telling me like, oh, if you're not like 21 or like have a degree or like really well, like have a priesthood office or whatever, if you're not like important, nobody will take you seriously and they'll look at you and be like, whatever, you just go get coffee or whatever.
Go take pictures.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, I'm 19, I'm fully an adult in Australia, but I'm not in America where I'll probably end up. And like, I don't want people to not take me seriously. So I just organized it for myself basically. And I got advice from people on like people suggested camps that would suit me, or like they knew people there who would be really nice to me and involve me and stuff. And so I just wanted to experience something different, I think, for a few months.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it's nice because I guess with the camps, you have that sense of security. Yeah. So it's like being a female and going traveling, like we were touching on this before.
Yeah.
We recorded, but it is scary and you have no idea, even if you're in a country where English is the first language and, you know, places like that which seem generally quite safe, you just never know what's going to happen. So that's like a really great way to get into traveling and solo traveling, but you still, as you say, like you meet so many people, you're with the church, so it's safe. Yeah, it's like that would have been a really good opportunity.
Yeah.
So it seems great.
Yeah, it was good.
Apart from Denver, who suggested Denver?
Yeah. Okay, well, I want to ask you now, Phoebe, what was like the best thing that you got out of your trip? Like, we know why you went now, but what did it help with?
Loads of things, actually. Like, I found it really beneficial. First, obviously, met some really amazing people.
Oh my God, who?
This guy called Sam. He was just great. Girl. I don't know. He was all right. Girl. No, so like meeting just like amazing people, and obviously Whistler's like a real, I don't know, it's it attracts a lot of people from a lot of different places. So I now have friends from like all over the world, which is just really great, because when I went away again, 3 Easters ago, let's say, I got in touch with Sam and said, oh, you know, like we're going to be in that like area of the world.
I remember forcing your hand a little bit. I remember you going to New Zealand and I was like, if you do not come to Australia, I will. I was like, you're staying with me.
And I was like, I mean, not really asked about Australia, not gonna lie. I was like, why don't you come over to New Zealand? No, but it worked out really well, and we came over for your Easter and just had an amazing time. But I mean, other than that, I think it really actually made me appreciate my own country, my own hometown, because it was such a different environment to England. Everyone was so outdoorsy, and you're in like a really beautiful place, so like naturally really beautiful. So it's like you see all of these like mountains and lakes, and you camp and you hike and you do loads of sort of activities, I guess. But because of that, I kind of came home and I was like, wow, it's actually like I really appreciated like the history of England and historical buildings and how big the trees were and how different they were, and just being outside. So now I'm like very much interested in visiting places in England that I never would have done before, and that's quite nice, because I think that's like something that I do with my friends who maybe wouldn't think to do that either, but they're actually appreciating it more. So that was really cool. I really like that. It's just fun, isn't it? Like just going and living somewhere else and understanding different cultures and being with people from different cultures as well. You kind of gain a better understanding of that, which I think really sets you up for the future of traveling wherever you go. It's kind of like you're a bit more aware. So yeah, it's just a great thing to do, I'd say.
For sure. I have no idea where this quote is from, but it's so relevant right now. I'll try and find it. Maybe we can put it in the show notes. But I remember someone said, like, the best form of education is travel, is something like that. I'm sure it's much more eloquent and profound. But
familiar.
But yeah, travel is definitely the best form of education. You learn, so it just really broadens your, I don't know, your worldview.
Horizons.
Yeah.
Broaden your horizons. Yeah. Visit Denver. So we're really
I'm so sorry, Denver.
Sponsored by
I don't actually
Denver.
think we have any listeners from Denver, so we might be okay.
Oh, South Park's going to come at us hard.
I don't understand.
South Park is set in Denver.
Okay.
Never mind.
If you did, you won't anymore. So
yeah. What did you get out of your gap year, Sam?
I feel like the lessons. This is so frustrating for me because I feel like the lessons I've learned I now blatantly disregard. I learned so much about how, like, I felt like when I was and this is my experience as well, and I recognize this as like a very privileged experience to be traveling in very much first world countries as a white man. As a young white man, I had a lot of opportunities. Like, one of the things that I learned was, like, jobs and stuff doesn't matter. Like, I'm always going to be fine. Like, I don't need to plan too much. Things are always going to work out. Like, I think going into it, I planned out, like, I had a job lined up before I left originally. For the second job, once I was already over there, I flew over for the interview. Like, and if it didn't work out, I was kind of fucked. But I was like, it'll be fine. And I didn't have a place, and it took a long time to find a place in Whistler. That was really hard, and we ended up paying way too much for a place way too small and crap. But it all worked out. Like, that was one of the things I learned, and now I come back here, and it's so dumb that I feel kind of trapped in, like, a really nice, cushy job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when I was over there, I was like, fuck it, I'll quit. I'll go do something else. Like, whereas, now I'm just like, I don't know.
It doesn't feel like you have as many options kind of thing.
Yeah, it's almost like those attitudes and those lessons I learned are kind of gone, but I still really appreciate those lessons.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, I definitely learned probably a lot about what I value too over there. Like, that work isn't everything to me. It's all about, like, the people and the experiences, but.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like going to a place like that and coming from a place like the areas that we are from, people don't care about your job status, how much money you earn, what kind of place you live in. I mean, I remember I had a friend who I lived with in Whistler, and he was a paralegal, and I think he was a trained solicitor in Australia, and then he came over to Whistler and he was a pot wash, and just absolutely loved it, and like it just doesn't matter. Like nobody cares if you're a lawyer or.
I was going to say, I remember the kitchen, the amount of degrees that people had in our like you would not have like if you had met the people there, you would just have thought that they were just like all like a bunch of uni dropout kind of. I don't know.
Ski bums.
Yeah, ski bums. But like I think people like that were rolling like bacon strips had like bioengineering degrees. And you're like, what, how did you end up here? Like, but everyone loved it. It's like, what are you?
Wow. Yeah. Because you're not there to work. You're there to
have the experience.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to work. Yeah.
Yeah. You work to earn your money to be able to pay the rent, and then the rest is just about actually having fun and enjoying yourself.
Like that's why it's so nice over there, because everyone's living for the same reason. Everyone there's living for the weekend and for the mountain and for going snowboarding or skiing. Like no one's there to work. No one's there for their career.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's nice to be amongst all those people who are also escaping for that. Like it's
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
It's a nice little bubble. How about you, Em?
Yeah. I mean, my gap year as a whole, I definitely learnt that like, I mean, I made lots of different decisions about what I wanted to do and where I was going and all that different stuff. Like I changed my mind like 3 times during that year, I think. And I also learned that like the more you take opportunities, the more you get opportunities, because it was like, because I went on that 3-month trip to America, I then came home and told like our like youth team that I was like, oh yeah, I really want to be involved more. And then because I did that, I got invited to go to Tahiti, which meant that I got to go to Tahiti for like 10 days, which was awesome. And just like, then when I came back from Tahiti, like more opportunities came, and kind of just like, that's something that I'm like banking on in my life, that when I finish uni, opportunities might just happen upon me. I'm really hoping that happens. If it doesn't, I have no other plans. But yeah, I'm not sure I have too many more deep things to say about that. I'm a bit tired.
Do you feel like you like grew a lot?
Oh yeah, it was a lot. Like the actual traveling part was a lot. I remember distinctly I flew straight into Hawaii, and I tried to like power through the day without napping, and I got like an hour in and was crying. I cry when I'm tired. I'm like a baby. Anyway, so I was crying like an hour in. Yeah. And so I had to go take a nap, and then I woke up, and like the first like couple days of being there, I was so uncomfortable and unhappy, and I didn't know anyone, and I was so nervous about like how I would make friends or how I would pass the time, and whether I'd just wasted so much time and energy into this trip that I was going to have an awful time. And I just cried so much. But then like through that trip, I learned so much about like I don't even know. I want to say trying not to be like anxious in those situations, but like here I am in the middle of COVID being anxious about similar situations. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, that's different, I guess.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think I just learned like it was nice to be independent on my own in a different country, and like that I could do it and it was okay, and like I can handle myself kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool. And I think especially as an anxious person, it's really great to kind of learn those skills. Obviously, COVID's like completely just
a whole other world
anomaly, isn't it? It's just like, what the fuck? But I think, and it's cool that everyone has such different takeaways from traveling as well. And like between the 3 of us, we've all got completely different takeaways that have just been so important. And like another one was, I got into a gardening job.
I was just about to ask about this actually,
nearly forgot to say, but it was, I was living with a guy who worked for a landscaping company, and it's like a really big thing there. I think all of the gardens are really manicured, and it's not really something that I'd noticed as a career or a job in England at all. But I got into it because I wanted a sort of active outdoorsy job, and it was great, and I just loved it. And like just really, really as a job, I thought that like I could definitely do this. Coming back to England, I was like, I'm moving to London, I need an office job. I've never had an office job before. And after sort of 2 years of being in office jobs and being like, I like really loved the people that I worked with, but the job, like it would take me half a day to write an email, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. How do I word this? I don't know what I'm doing. And then after COVID, I ended up losing the job that I was in that I hated. And then I had to find a job really fast. And I was like, okay, well, I know how to do gardening. And there are a lot of gardening companies and landscaping companies in London. So I just applied and have been gardening since June. And I love it so much. And it's just really, I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to do a job like that when I was away, because I would never have thought to do it here. But now I'm like, I'm actually really practical, and this is a job that I can do, and I don't need to be limited to an office job just because I'm in a city. So that was so good for me, and a really good takeaway from traveling that I would never have experienced otherwise.
That's great.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like the general advice is, if it's ever an opportunity for you,
take it.
Go travel, go do something. Because, I definitely. Well, and it wasn't all roses. Like, I feel like I look back and I miss so many aspects of it, but it was hard.
I really I appreciate my trip more in hindsight than I did living it.
There's so many good lessons learned. But I remember...
Yours sounded really intense though, Emily.
Yeah, mine was. And nobody warned me. Like, everybody was like, oh my God, you'll have this great trip. And like, Sam had come back from his and had an awesome time. And mine was very different, obviously, but I didn't consider that. And no one warned me that going to camps in these situations would be super intense and super hard, and I wouldn't know anyone. Like, actually, Emily, do you realize that you won't know a single person at this camp in this country?
Yeah.
And so it was a bit of... I remember texting you at one of the camps being like,
I think it was the very
hate
first
this.
one.
Help me. Like, is this normal? And you were like, oh, yeah, lol, that's fine. It'll get better. And I was like, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, lol, it's hard.
Yeah.
But it gets better. And like, it's 100% not easy, because like, I feel like when you start planning it for the first time too, there's a lot. Oh my God, I love those guys.
I know. When those two talk to that person about that thing.
Specifically that one.
It was so good. I loved it.
Look, we're just here interrupting to tell you to please share this with some friends.
Yeah, if you could just like tell 3 friends about this podcast, that would mean the world to us. Alternatively, you could post about us on your social media. That would also be very helpful. It would be more than 3 friends who would sort of get that word of mouth. But yeah, that would be really helpful for us.
And that's all we really need to say. So yeah, if you could help support the podcast by sharing it with your friends, that would be amazing, and we love you.
Yeah. Back to those super awesome people talking about that super awesome thing.
Love the chat about that thing.
Our second problem is for anybody thinking about doing a gap year. How do you even do that? What are the logistics? Everything you need to know about taking a gap year, basically.
Yeah, let's chat the functional side of gap years.
So the first thing we've got on our little list of questions is you wanted to chat about the culture differences between different countries in going on gap years, right, Sam?
Yeah, as in like how easy it is for Australians to do it, and maybe how difficult it is for other countries. Because like I learnt from traveling that like there are Aussies everywhere all over the world, because we are so lucky in that like most of our entry-level jobs like will pay you a living wage. So
minimum wage is like
it's
above
enough.
$20, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Australian.
That's mad.
It just means that to save up, if you're living with your parents, which a lot of people in our context are.
Yeah, it's very normal to stay living with your family because you don't move out for uni normally.
I did a year of work and I probably had about $20,000 saved, and I could just use that for like that's
so much money.
I was there for about 18 months and I was pretty, like by the time I was actually in Whistler, I had like barely any of that left. Like I spent most of it on ski gear, and then I was poor. But yeah, no, I was able to work for a year and then put some money aside and just be able to get, like, whereas from what I understand, for a lot of people to get a job, like, and I was dating someone in Canada at the time, and she was like, we can't just do that. Like
the minimum wage is less, and it's harder to save up the money to even book the flights, let alone to actually pay for it when you're there, and all the hotels and accommodation, all that kind of stuff, if you're just like going for a trip or whatever.
Yeah. So, and also like the passport power thing, like we are able to travel to so many different places and it's not that hard to get a visa. I believe it's a bit harder for you, Phoebe.
Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of like the visa process, it's changed now from when I was doing it, but for us, when I was first looking into it, you could get a 1-year working holiday visa twice. So, and then when I was doing it, they changed it from applying twice for 1 year, you get a 2-year working visa, but you can only get it once. So, and then from there, I think there's like a long process to do sort of permanent residency, which I didn't get into, but it's so intense. Like you have to apply, you need to get in, and they kind of announce, I think they change it every year, what date they bring the actual visas out. But they give you like hardly any notice. I think it's like a week or 2 weeks. And then it's like, right, we're doing the quota on this day at this time. And I just remember being at the computer. I was already in Whistler because I was like, I just want to go. I want to go for the ski season.
Wait, so you didn't have a visa and you traveled to Whistler and you were hoping to get a visa?
So, oh my God. So I got a holiday visa because I basically, like, generally in the previous years, they'd brought out the working visas in like April, May, which is like the end of the season. So I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to like take enough money to last me like a few months. And so I just had the best. I went out in January and I think they came out in like April. So I had like 4 months of just dossing, saying the word again,
nice.
just like
getting it in our brains.
Around. And it was like the worst season for snow as well. So it was just like, we were just doing like nothing, but it was great. Anyway, but the visa process, it's like you have to be at the computer on the dot. Like I had all of my information that I needed to fill in on a Word document that I was copying and pasting to be quicker.
Frantically.
It was just insane. I think so they do 2 days that they bring them out. Bearing in mind that the year that I was doing it, you had, I was applying for 1 2-year visa, but there were also people from the year before who were applying for their second 1-year visa. And I think there's like 1,000 applications that they accept.
There's only 1,000 from the whole country.
Oh yeah. Like 1,000. I could be wrong. Let's say between 1,000 and 2,500, but still, it's not that much.
Yeah, that's nothing.
It's nothing. So like the first date that I applied, I got it, but they ran out in 10 minutes. The second date, because you can save your information for the next time if you don't complete the application, I think it was like 2 minutes that it ran out in. God. So, oh my God, I've never been so stressed trying to get it, but we got it. And also I found, God, I'm really waffling here, but I found it really useful to follow like in Facebook groups who give advice, because there's so many things that you need to think about. Like I got really interrogated as I came into the airport, and I remember speaking to somebody in Canada like, could I maybe just do like a cash in hand job? Don't know if I should talk about this because it's kind of illegal, but I was just talking about it as an option. And he was like, if I were you, I would like delete these conversations and just like don't look for it, don't email people, just completely get rid of it all. But yeah, so it was just like really, really, really strict, and they were like, just don't. So then when I got to the airport, they took my laptop, they took my phone, because I didn't have a working visa and I didn't have a flight out. Ooh. So they just took everything from me. Yep. They went through everything and they checked it all. And yes, there are a lot of things that I learned that you should or shouldn't do.
Now that's some great advice for people listening. If you're thinking of going over there,
do not try and don't look for a cash in hand job. Don't try and sort of like organize anything like that ever, because Canada is super strict about stuff like that. They're really hot on it, and I feel don't be scared at the airport if they interrogate you. Just say that you'll leave if you have to, and then that's fine.
Yeah, I feel like, and this is kind of the argument for like, I originally, when I went over there, I did it through an agency. Did you ever consider doing that?
Oh. No, I don't even know if that's an option.
They're just like they're companies that do it. Like there are these companies that, and some people have great experiences, some people have terrible experiences. My experience, I want to say, is on the fence. There are a lot of bad things, but like they take a cut, obviously. Like they, it's kind of like a job brokerage company. Like, you know, those people that like, I don't know the name of this, but I'm sure I feel so dumb. There's people that like get jobs for people. What are those people called?
Yeah.
Oh, recruiters.
Yeah.
So basically, really, their business is being a recruiting firm. Like they advertise, this is how I felt it worked. This could be totally wrong. But anyway, I got a lot of people get housekeeping jobs. And my brother, Robert, got a housekeeping job. I was lucky enough to get like a pool boy job, which I was stoked with. Still not the best. Still kind of gross. Still got to have that summer cottage life in Canada though for a bit. So, you know, but once I did that once, they helped me with the visa process. And I think it cost a few $1,000s to go through them. Like it's not that's what I mean. So if you are comfortable getting everything sorted yourself and you know people who've done it, I'd say probably go that route. But there are agencies that you can pay to help you with that if you are doing it for the first time. And
I'm sure that's for lots of different countries as well, not just Canada.
Yeah. I just picked, like I said, I wanted to go to Canada, and they were like, cool, we offer those services. Like we can help you with that. We've done this visa process for so many people. I was like, great, I'm happy for you to just do it. Because before I'd traveled before, that was really helpful for me because I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. Once I was there, I dumped the agency and I went over to Whistler and did it all by myself because I felt a lot more confident doing it myself. And I already had the working visa.
But for that first step before you're actually there and can figure it out for yourself, that might be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my kind of experience. I did not get stopped at security or anything. And I think actually because originally, like we were in the United States, so I had to drive through the border. I didn't have to go through the airport to get into the country. And that was more comfy for me going to the driving place. They were really nice there. They did do that thing where they like took my speed. Yeah, they did do that thing where they went behind the counter with my passport for ages, and I was a bit worried, but they came back and were like, "Here you go, stamp."
Nice.
I was like, sick.
Nice. Well, I'm interested to know how much planning you did. You're kind of touching on that a bit now, Sam, saying you kind of planned a little bit before you left, but
then once I was there, I was like, I'm good. And that's not actually my attitude. I remember Robert being a lot more aloof about it. And I was like, dude, we don't even have a job. We're going to be all right. And he was like, that's fine. Because he's so much better with that kind of stuff. And I was like, I think I took a lot from him on that trip, like learning that. But yeah.
That's good.
So you, on a scale of planned absolutely nothing, just turned up at the airport and bought your flight?
I want to say half and half. Because I feel like if you overplan, it can sap the joy out of it. Like you don't. Like, I think if you have the bare minimum, you have the essentials, you know, you got your flight, you got your visa, like, you know, you make sure that you check the government's requirements for the country that you're entering.
Oh, yeah, particularly if it's like not a super standard Western country like America or something, like make sure you know the rules.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What about you, Phoebe? Are you a planner?
I remember I planned a road trip and I was like, this day we're going to go to this campsite and then we're going to go and visit here. Day 2, we're going to go here. And I really enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah?
I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
But I think like actually coming to Canada, I was so lucky because I had Chris and a friend from home who were there. They'd already gone through all of the visa process. They'd done all of the like flights, insurance, getting a job, getting a place. And we actually had like a family friend of his who lived in Tsawwassen, which is like south of Vancouver. So like to have somebody that you know nearby is really comforting and that makes things a lot easier. And I think, yeah, for me, I was really lucky. Yeah, like and again, like I just found the Facebook groups really helpful to like for planning, because you're like, oh, I have a question about this, and people are really responsive and really helpful. So like I did plan, but I also like I had a kind of setup already for me for when I got out there. But I think it goes back to just like the kind of person you are. Like I did a trip around Europe and it's like, great, I'll be really like, just see what I feel like, and like planned on where I wanted to go. But like accommodation and stuff I was booking as I went, and really realised that like I'm not very good at that.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at just being spontaneous and like, we'll end up where we end up. Yeah. I was just like, oh my God, like we need to book this. We need to get it sorted. We need to know where we're staying. And like, I think also when you're on a tight budget, you're like, oh shit, how much am I actually going to be spending on this? Because you don't really realize like how much you're racking up for accommodation fees until you're like there. But yeah. Em, how was yours? How was your planning?
Yeah, I'm a planner. I basically had like, I knew everywhere I was going. I had all my flights booked. Why are you looking at me like this?
I'm just listening.
I'm like hyper stressed about this.
I look like you're just so like, I can tell you're so opposite. And I'm just like, I'm a planner, and Sam's like just like smiling in the background.
I'm just thinking of Denver, fam. I don't know.
I had all of my flights booked, and I had almost all of my accommodation booked because I was staying with like host families for most of it. So I had like, I knew they were going to pick me up on this day. I was getting on this flight. They knew all that stuff. I knew I was staying with, you know, a family for 4 days. Then I would be at this camp, and then I would be staying with another family. But most, like, I didn't have activities planned aside from the camps, but the camps took up a lot of that. Like, I didn't have to plan like sightseeing or anything like that. I remember I had 2 days that I was going to be in LA that I was trying to stay with some friends of mine, but I couldn't knuckle it down until I actually got there. And I remember being like in Hawaii like 3 days before I was supposed to go to LA, being like, I have literally no place to go. Like, worst comes to worst, I will book myself into a hotel, but like I probably would be too scared to leave my room by myself. So I was like really hoping that they would let me stay with them. And then they did eventually. They got back to me and I could stay with them, and that was all good.
I just love how famous you sound when you tell that story. I was like, well, I was in Hawaii and I need to stay some friends a few days in LA, and I just...
They were the only people that I stayed with that I actually knew, and I'd met them once at the camp before. It was that was a really fun trip to stay with them. But yeah, I had pretty much everything planned. I knew that like when my boyfriend met me over, we had decided we were going to like go to Universal Studios for 1 day. So we'd booked that in advance because it would be cheaper to book in advance. But then most of the other days we had free. Like, I didn't plan lots of activities and stuff, but I knew exactly where I was going to be at every second, basically, because my parents also were like super worried about me and wanted to know where I was going, and all that kind of stuff. And then same with New York, we had like all of our shows booked that we were going to go see every night.
Which you would need because they would sell out, right?
Oh yeah, we booked 9 shows.
You don't want to miss out as well.
Yeah. We had learned basically the entire reason we went to New York is because we were there like 3 years earlier and had missed out on a show that we wanted to see. And so we were basically going back just to see that one show. So we were like determined to see as many as we could. And then we stupidly didn't go see Dear Evan Hansen when we could have. And now we want to go back again just to see that one show. So
yeah, I really want to see that.
If you're ever in New York, just see them all. Just spend the money and see them all. It's worth it. Otherwise, you'll live with regret. And it's horrible.
Just go into a deep amount of debt.
Yeah, but you'll regret it if you don't.
Yeah.
So
do it.
Yeah, I had most things planned.
So what I feel like, you know, in general, a lot of us had a lot of things planned. But I feel like what is top tip, if you know someone somewhere, use that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stay
and if
with
you know
people.
someone who's done it before, feel free to contact us about this because obviously we've done this. So, you know, at Sam and M have problems.
Yeah, if you want to, I mean, we're supposed to be solving problems. That's the whole point of the podcast. Yeah. If you want us to solve that for you.
And obviously, I mean, you know, COVID, but.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In 10 years and you want to travel again and the apocalypse has ended, feel free to reach out and we'll try and help you out with it.
We'll do our best.
Yeah.
All right. I have one more question, which is kind of like a two-parter thing. I want to talk about loneliness while we're traveling and doing all that kind of stuff. But I also am interested in the idea of culture shock and like the reverse culture shock that we were kind of talking about, how you, Phoebe, when you came back to London, you really struggled. So do you want to talk about that first maybe?
Yeah, sure. So I think culture shock really, going to Whistler wasn't much of a culture shock. I think because it's a Western country, it's English speaking, it was fairly easy. Like there's not that much.
Was there anything?
Like, there's definitely like differences.
Sometimes you get like a weekend and all the small things just really piss you off. Did you find that? Like, I just want a decent cup of coffee.
So in the beginning, it was like I found like the hospitality serviceness so intense. It was like, Jesus Christ, like, leave us alone.
Yes.
She's like, hey, how is everything tasting? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like just people like coming up to you a lot and like being like typically like moaning English people. We'd be like, oh my God, like we're fine. Like don't need to come over all the time. Yeah. But then by the end I was like, oh my God, I love that she knows my order. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like I loved it. But I think also, just like that kind of industry and like tipping and stuff like that, like we don't really do that, so like it's on another level basically, but you have such a higher level of care, like wherever you go, like going to a bar, it's table service, whereas we just go to the pub and you go to the bar and stuff like that. And I think there were definitely things like that, but also like when you get involved in that culture, like obviously with all of the wildlife and bears, people were very anti-littering. And I think also like being in such a beautiful place, it's like you don't want to litter, like you don't want to ruin like the environment because it's so nice. Whereas in England, it's like people throw things on the floor all the time. So it's kind of like with things like that, I was like, now I'm very anti-littering and very respectful, I think. And like that was kind of hard to come back to because I was like, oh my God, like you're so lazy. There's a bin like 5 meters away from you and you've just thrown something on the floor, and I find it really infuriating. But
yeah, you're right. I feel like there's all those small things like the service industry. That one got me as well. It annoyed me at the beginning a lot.
Yeah.
And I think because we have a similar culture.
That.
Yeah, I know, because now as well, coming back, I was like, why fill up my water? Like I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
Like,
excuse me. Yeah. And like, but then I'd be like, let's give them 20%. People are like, you don't need to give a 20% tip.
You don't need to give a tip at all. What are you doing?
Like, stop that. Yeah. I know. And I'm like, oh, but they were just so nice. I really liked her. He was really nice. And yeah, that's funny. But yeah, also with reverse culture shock coming to London, where like, it's not, people aren't really outdoorsy. It's really hostile, really busy. It's very much about like what you do for work. And, you know, like that's quite a high importance of people. And just like every single day I wake up in Worcester and I go outside and be like, wow, this is beautiful.
It's like and waking up in a movie.
That, oh like my God.
Colours.
Yeah. And just like, yeah. Just everything, like watching in autumn, like the snow level come down the mountain and you're like, I'm so excited for winter. And then in spring, it's like
the other way,
just everything's turning green and you're like, wow, it's like, you're just always in awe. And I think coming to a big city, like the biggest city, it was really hard to like adjust to that and like have different interests. It's like now, and I think it's kind of similar in Sydney from what I got when we were there. It's like you're going out to fun restaurants and bars and going to see live music and going to good cinemas and museums. And
yeah, that's really interesting. Do you have a culture shock? Anything to add there?
I feel like it's more like I thought I would have changed more and I didn't. Like I left. Coming back, I don't know why I assumed I might be in a different life stage, but I wasn't, and other people were. So I was like going over there and having this amazing experience and really like, and I feel like I want to kind of talk about as well, like it wasn't always amazing over there. Like sometimes you worked really hard and sometimes you wouldn't get to go up on the hill. Winter, the days are so short and like it's dark a lot and it can just really get in your head. Like I would like work a double shift, like I'd be working all day for the mountain and then I'd work all night. And I'd get a shitty dice roll and I'd have to stay.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's how you decided it?
Yeah, we decided who got to go home based on the roll of the dice. Was literally rolling the dice. And it was fun and sometimes it was the best and sometimes it sucked. And like you'd swap with people all the time, like depending and
someone's like, oh, I want to go out. And you're like, well, I have no life, so sure, I'll
get the extra $5 from the extra hour.
Yeah, but I'll eat all the bread and everything that's in the fridge.
But I'll survive time.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah, that's so funny. Yeah. I definitely look at it through rose-tinted glasses 100%. As well. I'm like, God, it was so amazing. Yeah. But then when you're in like the off-season when there's no work, the weather's awful and there's nobody around, you're like, oh.
It can be very isolating and quite lonely, and I definitely felt that. Yeah. Even like having the luxury of traveling with my brother, you know, we were living in the same apartment. Like we would have different shifts all the time, and we'd come back to the apartment and we'd just be knackered. Like we'd be working 16-hour days or something. And so like you just, it can really get the best of you. So I don't know. I wanted to throw that in there because it's not always like if you travel and you feel like you're not having a good time, I feel like that's
okay.
Normal.
Yeah. Shall we move on to your problem for us, Phoebe?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So because Sam's like a real gym bunny and, you seem like really in this like consistent schedule, going to the gym, eating well, not sleeping well, but like hopefully better from going to the gym.
The fact that you know that from another country, from just listening to our podcast, that he doesn't sleep is the best.
I got to tighten up.
I know it's
Everybody
so good.
who listens to this,
it.
I need you to come for Sam. I need you to hate on him until he goes to sleep.
Stress is not going to help me sleep. Let me sleep.
You do need to read that book, though.
Which one?
It will stress you out. The Why We Sleep that you were talking about with the nutritionist who you see. It's crazy how important sleep is. It's so, it's just insane. But
I did listen to that
also,
podcast.
Why are you on your phone till 3 a.m? That's probably why you're not sleeping.
Read a book.
But what I want to know is, is there a way, I'm not, I go through phases of loving the gym, hating the gym, wanting to go all the time and just being I'm not going to go for a month. Is there a way of getting a good, consistent track record of going and getting to a point where you're okay, I enjoy this, or do I give it up? Shall I do something else?
I would say if you can consistently move your body and exercise rather than go to the gym, then that's good enough. I think if you can listen to your body and be today I feel like doing yoga, today I feel like just doing 10 handstands in a row and that's enough exercise for me, or I feel like going to the gym today and that's great. And this week I went to the gym 6 times and it was awesome. But next week I want to do I don't even know, just a bunch of star jumps and that's all I can manage. I feel like you just have to kind of ride the wave. And as long as you're getting in some sort of exercise and moving your body, then that's kind of enough. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. I think you need to, wherever you're at, it just needs to be maintainable. If you're not enjoying it, fuck it. Get rid of it. And I'm currently kind of at the gym, I'm losing a little bit of motivation because my goals are switching up. I was working on putting on weight and then.
Goals is kind of the thing that keeps you motivated really strongly, isn't it?
Well, when the goals are so intrinsic, I want my body to look a certain way, it's easy to work on that. For me, I don't know if that's the same for everyone, but and I also think being surrounded by people with similar mindsets or similar goals. I have mates who have really similar goals and we stick to the same program. And so if he's going on a Tuesday at 5 p.m, I don't want to miss that because not only is it a little bit competitive and I don't want to fall behind the schedule or whatever. I don't want to, if he wanted me to spot him for something, then I'm not there for that. I can't do that. That's really lame. So it's it's keeping each other accountable.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think
that's nice.
We're both kind of getting to the stage now where we're plateauing a bunch with our progress and we're this is if you're doing the same thing over and over and you're just not seeing any kind of progress, it's really demoralizing. We're we need to change this up. So I've been playing baseball and I want to be we're looking at doing some other stuff maybe rock climbing or just something where we can move and it's a bit more fun, a bit more athletic.
Nice.
And but I think
rock climbing is fun. Yeah. I've gotten into that and I love that.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. You were talking. You carry on.
No, but that's it. I think if you are not enjoying the gym, bye.
Yeah.
I think that's it. As you say, for you, it's I want to go to the gym because I feel I want to look a certain way. Mm-hmm. And that's a really good goal for you to have. That does not work for me. I'm I need to look a certain way is not enough of a motivation for me to do it. I know now that I exercise because it's really good for my mental health. Mm-hmm. And I'm generally quite active anyway. I enjoy being active. But for me, I started playing football for a really casual, like non-competitive team. They're called Bend It Like Peckham, in a place called Peckham. It's great. But they shout out to Bend It Like Peckham. Love you guys. It's the best. It's so much fun. But like that, I like look forward to doing it every single week, and it's just so much fun, and like it's a really nice sense of community, and that's why I do that. Not because it's like, oh, I'm getting fit, but I do also feel like I'm going to throw up at the end of every session, so that's got to be good for you, right?
Definitely.
So I think, thanks guys, you've solved my problem. I'm going to quit the gym.
Yeah, do it. Shall we do recommendations?
Let's do it.
Oh yes.
Phoebe,
Right.
I'm going to get you to start because
We know you got some great
have a few, and
recommendations
we
in
both
the
are
bank.
struggling.
I have so many, it's hard to whittle it down, but I've whittled it down to 3. So the first one is an app, and it's called Radioooooo, and it's got like loads of zeros in it. I don't know, I can't remember how many zeros, but
It'll be tagged in the show notes.
write it down. Yeah, perfect. So basically it's on the app, you go on like a map of the world, and you click on different countries, and then you click on a decade, and it will play music from the radio at that time in the decade in that country. So it's just really fun.
That is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. And then you're like, okay, I want to go to Indonesia in the 1970s. And like, it's just playing in the background. It's just really fun. So that's really good. Second one is a podcast that I've been listening to, obviously not as much as yours, but
thank you.
second best at the moment. It's called Drunk Women Solving Crime, and it's like 3 comedians and screenwriters who get a host on every week. And they like take a crime from history and they become detectives and try and solve it, but they're drunk, and it's just really fun and funny. And then finally is because Sam was talking about Bon Iver's new song recently, and I know you're all really into music. He did a cover by Bonnie Raitt called I Can't Make You Love Me / Nick of Time, so he kind of did a mashup. But it's such a nice cover, and I've been trying to learn it on piano, and it's I'm not, like I say, I've been trying. I can do like the first 3 keys, and then it's like,
but
okay,
it's so literally, I melt from the first because
I
love
haven't
that.
heard it, so I can't wait to.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
I'll listen to it on my way home.
It's really special.
I honestly think that cover introduced me to Bon Iver, and ever since I've been an absolute fanboy. Like
Nice.
I love him.
Yeah.
Them. You know, it's Justin Vernon.
But Justin Vernon is sensational. Anyway, that's me.
That leads me
Nice.
into my recommendation, because this came back up on my YouTube feed this week. I was like, man, I thought that I saw Justin Vernon doing some. I did find it. I'll put it in the show notes, but there's Justin Vernon, and I'm sorry, I do not know the other guy's name, but they do a recording session that goes for about 20 minutes, and they just both have a grand piano and their voices. And it is
Magic.
phenomenal. Like I just can watch it for, I swear, hours. There's like a lot of tension build up and then release, and it's just glorious to my ears. I really love it. Then it's like the In the Nick of Time thing. It's just, he's such a talented performer.
Nice.
Love it.
Okay. I have.
Do you have a Bon Iver song that you can recommend, please?
I don't. I'm so sorry. I'm letting the whole team down. I do not. But I do have 2 recommendations. So the first is an app, and it is called Huji, Huji, and it's basically like, it's like a film camera, but it's an app. So you like take pictures through it, and it just puts like an effect on the picture immediately that looks like a film camera. And I really just like
a disposable camera?
Yeah,
or like a
disposable kind of film camera. And it's really nice. My friend Camille, shout out to you, showed it to me, and I really like taking pictures with that effect. It's just really fun and different. And then my second recommendation is kind of like an old one. I don't know where they are now. I haven't really participated in anything that they've been doing recently, but I used to love them, and they were really helpful when I was booking my trip. But it's this duo they call themselves Shut Up and Go, and they have like a YouTube channel and an Instagram and all that kind of stuff. And it's basically these 2 people who just like travel all over the world, and they used to do all these like how to travel on a budget, or like best non-touristy places to go in each city, and they just like would go everywhere. And I remember when I was in San Francisco for a few days, I like looked at their traveling San Francisco video and like found some cool places to go that were like in their video. And I think they're both like, they do a lot of traveling independently of each other as well. So you can get like different things at the same time. But I know they've got like lots of different things going on at the moment. I just haven't kept up with them recently. But all their old videos, I would definitely recommend Shut Up and Go on YouTube.
Thank you so much
for
joining us.
Yeah, wow.
It has been awesome.
Thanks for having me. It's been great to catch up, guys.
Yeah, it's been great reminiscing and chatting with you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can subscribe, leave us a review, follow us on Instagram, show us where you're listening by posting and tagging us on Instagram. We also have a Patreon account and you can subscribe there and support us if you'd like.
Also, the music is by The Vinyl Press and you can find them on Instagram at The Vinyl Press.
Yeah, and send us any problems that you have. We want to solve them for you.
Woo!